Here we go.
Money, money, making crap for money. Money.
All right, and we live in 3, 2, 1. What's up, guys? This is Breonna Moore, your host of the Conversations Unearthed podcast, where y'all come for me, but you stay for the guests. Today, we have none other than Mr. CJ Kelly, widely known as CJ the Smart Guy. He is a leading crypto tax expert with a passion for demystifying the complexities of cryptocurrency taxation. With years of experience in the financial and crypto industry, CJ helps individuals and businesses navigate the evolving world of digital assets while staying compliant with tax laws. Oh my gosh. Y'all, this guy right here is amazing. Just us sitting here chopping it up for the last 15 minutes could have been a masterclass in itself. CJ is also a thought leader in the space, drawing on real world experiences and cultural influences, including the work of none other than Mr. Nipsey Hussle. Rest in peace. Thank you so much, Mr. CJ, for coming on. I gave you a bit of an introduction, but I want you to introduce yourself. But first, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
How you feeling?
I feel great. Thank you for the intro. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.
Everything is good. I feel fantastic.
Good. So, like I said, I gave you a bit of an intro, but I want you to kind of tell the people a little bit about yourself, because you done been Houston, land of Vegas. Like, I mean, shout out to Drake, but you from LA.
Yes.
You have a podcast also, but your podcast studio is in Houston.
Yes.
You about to move across the country to Kenya.
Across the world, yeah.
Across the world to Kenya. But did I said your roots are in LA. What else we at right now? Houston, LA, Richmond, Dallas.
Yeah.
And we about to be in Kenya, which you're going on Friday.
Correct.
Tell me how all of this came about. I need to know everything. What's going on with you?
Yeah. So originally from LA, my first school, my first church, Crenshaw Christian Center.
Okay, shout out.
Yeah, love Crenshaw Christian Center. Got crazy in LA. Family moved to Rialto, Inland Empire.
When you say crazy,
yeah,
what happened in LA?
It's the 90s.
Okay.
So this is the crack epidemic.
Okay.
This is Rodney King time period.
Okay.
This is the LA riots.
Okay.
So it was just, it's a wild time. So my parents, they just was like, look, we don't need all this in the back door. So we're gonna go out to the valley, which that's a known thing in LA, where it's like if things get too bad, you move out to the Inland Empire.
Okay. And how old were you at this time when y'all moved out to the valley?
So it's off and on, because it's like my aunties were still in LA, and my mom was pregnant a lot. So
okay,
she's pregnant.
shout out to being fertile. I know that's right. Some people can't have kids.
They married. It's all good. And so like I'd be living with my aunts if my mom was pregnant. So even though I would say up until like age 8, I was in LA a lot. But we go back and forth. So it wasn't like I just, like my social center, my family, my church, my school, my parents' jobs were all in LA. So we just made that 45-minute trip. But when that 45-minute trip became 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours because of traffic, and it was like, nah, we gonna set up shop in Rialto. So I would say around 8 is when we was like, okay, we're chopping off LA.
How many brothers and sisters?
I'm the oldest of 4.
Okay.
But there were 5 pregnancies.
Got you. Okay.
So 2 younger brothers and a youngest sister.
Okay. Yeah. That's what's up, man. Because growing up in the streets of LA, it's a lot of good music that didn't come out of LA, but I always feel like art is sometimes the best when it comes out of tragedy. And it's a lot of tragedy that has happened there, especially in the 90s. So I'm just glad, you had the perseverance or parents that were able to kind of have the means to move you, because not a lot that's not an easy thing to do back then, just to pick up and move with all the kids. So it sounds like to me that is one of the reasons why you are the way that you are, like why you're so well-rounded, why you can kind of go from one place to the other, why you can kind of like navigate and be a chameleon in these different spaces and educate people, because you had a good support system that were doing the same thing for you and your parents.
Yeah, for sure. Shout outs to them. See, we grew up very very like lower to middle class.
Okay.
Growing up, but then during the middle years of my life, like once we said, hey, Rialto's we're going to be at, my dad was able to find work working from his computer as a computer software engineer. And
wow.
He started traveling the world. So he was going to Germany, he was going to Italy, France. Like my dad just started traveling the world. And so I saw at a young age that you don't have to go into an office to work. You can work from your computer. You know, the pros and cons. The pros were we started making a lot of money. So all of a sudden I went from low middle class to like, you know, in the hood, you're rich. You know what I mean? So I got to see a lot of stuff. And even if like I went to one of the best private schools in the country.
Oh, go ahead.
So like they put me in the best positions.
Yeah.
But then a 9/11 hit and he lost a lot of that job. And so then I went to school back at Rialto. So I went to one of the best junior highs and then one of the worst high schools. Dang. Like we made national news for our riots. Like we had less than a 50% graduation rate. Like, so all of a sudden that I got the experience that the average, at least to my perspective at the time, the average black person had faced. Even like dealing with the police was different because at my junior high, the police were nice. They took care of you. They give you rides. They treat you well. The police were great. Yeah. And I went to Carter High School in Rialto, and they put drugs on me. What? Yeah. Like it was different. Like Rampart scandal, which was originally in LA, it spreads out. I don't have any tattoos because they used to make us take our shirts off after school, and they used to take pictures of us, and we have gang injunctions. So if we both wearing black, say if we had a third person that was wearing a black shirt, they say, oh, y'all a gang. And if one of us has a tattoo that can be considered gang affiliate, they'll charge you with something that they charge the gang. Even though if they know you're innocent, they would still lock you up. And then with gang enhancements, instead of it being like 3 or 4 months, they'll multiply that by 7. So you might get 2 years for something that you didn't do because somebody from your gang did something that should have only got like 3 or 4 months. And so I just was like, look, I'm not getting no tattoos. Yeah. Like I'm good.
That remind me of that scene and Set It Off with a guy. I forget who he had a tattoo. No, I'm sorry, a haircut that said Akron or something in his head. And apparently it was like the haircut to have. Somebody else got it. It was actually Jada Pinkett's brother got that same that same haircut in his head. And I think the gang actually killed him instead of the other guy. So it's like these symbols and things like that, like people walk around thinking they cool, but I mean, you got to kind of look out for yourself. But let's do a little bit of a crypto edition. Okay. Icebreaker, fire round question. Mm-hmm. All right. Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Bitcoin.
Okay. What's the most surprising thing about crypto taxes most people do not know?
That spending your crypto is a taxable event.
Ooh, wait, hold on, wait. That caught me off guard. Okay, we got to come back to that one. Your go-to snack during a long work session?
I was about to say pinnacles, but it's not a pinnacle. Pistachio.
Okay. They say the peanuts got a lot of brain power in them. They help you to focus a little bit. Who are you with when you love yourself the most?
Who am I with when I love myself the most? Mm-hmm. I got to dissect that one a little bit.
Ooh, all right. We can put a pin in it.
When I love myself the most, who am I with? Probably just my headphones and my music.
Okay. So it's more of a what? Yeah. What are you with?
Yeah, correct. Because who, right? Yeah. At this point in my life, I'm by myself most. I'm isolated most of the time.
Oh, okay.
I think out here in Richmond, I love We Off the Couch. Okay. We go running, so I might go run 10 miles with the group, but even in that 10 miles, you're still kind of isolated because you're not going to keep the pace with any one other human being for 10 miles.
Okay. If you were not working in crypto and taxes, what would your dream job be?
Salsa dancing.
What? Yeah. Okay, that junk caught me off guard a little bit. Okay. Who is your dream guest to collaborate with on a podcast or a panel?
At this point, probably Kendrick Lamar.
Ooh, okay. What's the one cryptocurrency you believe everybody should learn about?
Bitcoin.
Okay. And what is a common crypto myth you wish that you could debunk forever?
That it's a scam.
That is a scam. Okay. All right. I want to go back to this first question. What's the most surprising thing about crypto taxes most people don't know? You said that when you use crypto to buy things, it's a taxable event.
Correct.
I mean, how can you explain that to me? Break that down for me a little bit.
Yeah. So the way that the technology works is you have one wallet and you have a second wallet, and the value will go from one wallet to the other, but there's no middleman in the middle. So the government doesn't know if you're gifting it, if you're spending it, or if you're selling it. So they don't know. So they just say it's all taxable.
Oh, wow.
For right now.
But how do you even spend? I guess it goes from a different wallet. Like if you were to, okay. And I've heard too that if you wanted to, let's just say I wanted to move $500,000 across the world. I wanted to wire it to somebody. You can't wire that in one transaction.
You're talking about with US dollars?
With US dollars. Like I think what I've heard is the quickest way to move that much money is to get the money from the bank, get on a plane, put the money in the duffel bag, get on the plane, and take it to who you want to give it to, because it's going to take too long to move the US dollars around. However, a way that severely wealthy people do this is that they just send somebody a Bitcoin, and that's it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
So it's a lot easier to move.
Way easier to move. So, like, even on a smaller scale, like remittance fees, like remittance payments. So there's a lot of, like, Africans in America that'll send money back overseas. And they'll use, like, a Western Union or, something like that, where the fees are higher, the cost is way more.
Yeah.
And then any transaction that's over 5,000 will get documented by the bank. 10,000, it goes directly to the IRS for them to look at. And they're trying to lower that down to 600, but it hasn't actually been officialized yet. So it's somebody who doesn't, want their privacy all out there, the government to know everything. Bitcoin, 10 minutes, not a few days. There's no middleman.
Okay.
And there's no limits. It doesn't, as of right now, it doesn't go directly to the IRS. You do have to sometimes fill out certain paperworks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as of right now, what I'm thinking is I'm comparing it to real estate, because that's really one of the only assets that I know very well, real estate and stocks. However, I know that if I'm holding an asset for less than a year, I'm going to get charged capital gains taxes. Is that the same with using Bitcoin?
Yes. The differences between real estate and Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in general, they're both treated like properties, but with real estate, you have 1031 like-kind exchanges that you can use. Like-kind exchanges prevent a taxable event from happening. So say if you sell one house and then you buy one immediately with the funds that you used originally, there's no taxable event for that. It's just a section 1031 like-kind exchange. In crypto, you can't do that.
Okay.
The difference between crypto and stocks is that in stocks, you have wash rules where if you buy something and sell it and then rebuy it back, there's a certain time period you have to wait in order to take that loss. Whereas in crypto, there is no wash rule. So you can buy and sell every single day and then choose which cost basis that you want. And I know that can get complicated, but let's just say the flexibility on crypto is way higher than both. But real estate has been developed for so long that the loopholes are deeper.
Okay. And the reason why we're here today, this election, okay?
Yeah.
I was very surprised when the state of Georgia took this. Yeah, I'm surprised when they voted majority for Trump. He won a lot of the swing states, which is like unheard of. However, I do understand that he's been campaigning for over 10 years, and I know the runway for Kamala was shorter. Me personally, I felt like she was running on reproductive rights, which was not super strong in the realm of the Republican Party. They were running on mostly immigration. However, you bought this piece in that I had no idea about. And basically what you said was the win in Georgia had a lot to do with cryptocurrency.
Correct.
Can you please break that down because this is something that I had no idea about. As soon as you wrote me and told me that, I Googled it, I went on Forbes, and this is a bit different than what you were saying, but they basically said that Georgia County was one of the only counties to use the Bitcoin blockchain as a source to like secure the votes. Yeah. And even that, I mean, that wasn't what you were talking about. You said that they had it was a $245 million investment or something in crypto that the city of Georgia did. But still, even with you saying that and with them using blockchain to secure the votes, that together is a powerhouse. So correct. Just break down a little bit of what you meant by the crypto investment is what you feel like got them to win.
So let me I'm gonna go all the way back.
Go all the way back. Go all the way back.
So all the people understand, what we're talking about. So blockchain is a revolutionary technology.
Yes, sir.
It's taking over everything from the medical fields to supply chains to money to every single field you could think about. What is blockchain? It's simply a database that's very difficult, if not impossible, to delete the information that's in it. Okay. And so let's just take the Bitcoin blockchain, because that's a different blockchain than an Ethereum blockchain, which is different than a Solana blockchain. So you have different blockchains, they're just different databases. And with Bitcoin, you'll have like different transactions. Yeah. Every 10 minutes, those transactions get put into a block. And then after that block is done, there's going to be another block that comes about. So it's a chain of blocks, and each block has a bunch of transactions, a bunch of information in it. And every 10 minutes, a new one is created. When the new one is created, all the people that secure the system, they get to see, okay, this is what the database looks like at this moment. And if anybody tries to delete or change something from the past, the people who secure the network will be able to see it, and they'll reject those things. So let's say that if you had a whole Bitcoin and you sent it to somebody else, but then you tried to send it to me within the 10 minutes. Well, it's not going to work because it hasn't been verified. Okay. And it's verified officially through the people that are like the verifiers.
So it's actual people that's verifying these nodes.
It's their computers. Their computers. They don't have to be sitting at the computer. It just happens automatically, and it's done through math problems. It's cryptography. It gets complicated. But the basic ideology of a blockchain is that it's a database that's more secure than we've ever had before.
I got you. It sounds like a broker. Like when I'm doing, like I said, I'm a revert back a lot of things back to real estate, because that's kind of how it makes sense in my head. Because it seems like if I was to make a real estate transaction on the blockchain, I wouldn't need a broker. Like I wouldn't need a lender to verify like anything or do a title search or anything, because as soon as I sent that, I guess the money to pay for the house, everything would be verified, and it's not like it could be sent to anybody else without my permission. Like as soon as the house was in my name or whoever name it's supposed to be in, it's locked in. Correct. The only thing I don't like about the cryptography though is because if you lose the passwords to get into it, it's gone forever and it's no way to get it back. Correct. And I think that's why for me, I left my coins on an exchange because I could get to them quick. But a lot of this stuff with cryptography stuff, you are very well versed in it, and you able to break it down to me like a 3-year-old. But a lot of people don't understand it. Yeah. So going back to the election, how did this blockchain cryptography, crypto investment, how was that able to push them forward into voting for Trump?
So on the voting side, it's been known for a while now that
I'm out the loop.
Blockchain technology is going to completely change how voting is done. They've already done it in Guatemala, where there was a lot of corruption with the votes. Like you got paper ballots and people trying to beat up the people who got the boxes of votes. Yeah. And, so they switched to the blockchain technology, And it's been done with a lot of smaller elections here in America. But what that does is that ensures that whatever information is put into the blockchain is going to stay there. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's guaranteed to be 100% right, because it's only going to take the information that you provided it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But once it's there, it can't be changed.
But does that change the way that you vote as well? Because I know when I voted, I went to the school and I wrote on a piece of paper who I wanted, and then I scanned it into a machine.
So you can do it now, not countrywide, but like in certain places you could do it on your phone.
Okay.
And they'll ask for like a biometric test, so they might check your iris or check your fingerprints.
Oh my gosh.
Something like that to verify. Eventually we'll have like a digital ID where all that's going to be verified through that.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It feels a little Big Brother-ish though.
Eventually.
I mean, yeah, like it feels like it is a safer alternative, because then can't nobody go back and say they rigged the votes.
Correct.
But it like if everything is on the blockchain, then like the government, if they were to take control of it, they're gonna know everything that you spent. Like
Correct.
If everything's digital.
Well, that's
the point, kind of.
So when it comes to money, there's people don't realize there's like 4 different types of cryptocurrencies. Like they're completely different categories. So Bitcoin is a commodity.
Okay.
It's not a company. It's not a business. It's just a commodity. It's an upgrade from gold. It's an upgrade from the US dollar. It's worldwide. There's no company, no business, no government that controls it. It's controlled by the people.
Yeah.
Then you have a central bank digital currency, which the World Economic Forum, the IMF, Kazakhstan, they've already started to create one world currency that controls all the individual currencies of all the different nations.
Okay.
And the U.S. is going live with those trials in 2025 because Project Hamilton has already been completed, which was their first test to see if it worked.
Oh, my gosh.
And so that is controlled by the government. And that is a fully programmable money that they can take it out your account whenever they want. They can see where you're spending it. So they can geofence the location of it. They can make it expire if they want to. It's completely programmable. And they've already started doing this in China. They started doing it in Nigeria. The Nigerians weren't having it. And so it's already in play in terms of being indoctrinated. It's just how are they going to do it, whether it's, hopefully it's not done through reparations. That's been the talk. Well, hey, let's have the black people that test dummies. Let's give them reparations. They'll all eat it up. And then we can figure it out from there. So like Bitcoin is the escape from the central bank digital currency, but because we aren't on a central bank digital currency, not realizing the power of Bitcoin yet. Then you have, like you had mentioned, Ethereum. Ethereum is like an upgrade to like a Visa or to a MasterCard because it's a payment system, but it's now creating an entire network online that there's nothing really to relate it to yet because it's decentralized money where you can, it's almost limitless. Like you have like the metaverse where we could be meeting virtually across the world and we can actually see like the holograms in real life or have different vision goggles to be able to network with each other, and we could spend money in real time. Like it's actually it's really cool when you can spend money and receive money in real time and not go through a third party and wait for it to hit your account. And like it's a whole different world. So
it sounds like you like this. Like this sounds like something that you are for, and it sounds like something that the people are for. If a ton of money was invested in cryptocurrency in the state of Georgia and they kind of went with the candidate who supports that, because to me it feels like almost like a dictatorship. Like it feels a bit like my privacy is getting taken away from me. But let me know like how you feel about it. What do you like about it? What are the pros? We talked a little bit about the cons, lack of privacy. How do you feel like this will help us?
So the blockchain is just simply a tool. No difference than the internet.
I got you.
It's going to be revolutionary, but it's just a tool. So I'm not really excited that there's another tool out there.
Okay.
I'm excited because I'm looking at the freedom that Bitcoin provides.
Okay.
It provides freedom in the current system. Think about how many bank fees that we've given the banks because we were broke, or the fact that they don't give us interest, but they'll charge us fees for just taking our money out of the ATM. So, they've charged Black people higher rates. So the banks have been terrible to us in the first place. And Bitcoin takes away the need for a bank. Even with real estate, it takes away the need for escrow. So, I'm excited that Bitcoin provides us freedom. I am not happy whatsoever with a central bank digital currency.
I got you. That makes sense, and that's kind of where I was going with it, because the decentralization is chef's kiss. And I know it was something that was created back in the Liberty coin or something. Whoever made that coin back in the day, they arrested him quick. Like, it's illegal to create a form of currency, which is why I'm pretty sure Satoshi ain't came out and said who he is yet. And then also it's like a US dollar is worth $1. One Bitcoin is worth what, $97,000 now?
Well, $1 isn't worth $1. Think about let's think about real estate. Let's take away finances. If you live in a house for 30 years, why does its value go up?
Because the value of the dollar has gone down. Correct.
It's the only reason why your house goes up. Because if you live in it for 30 years, chances are you might have holes in the walls. You might have, some leaky faucets. The wood's not the same. It's actually depreciating. But the dollar amount goes up, not because the value of the house has gone up. It's because the value of the dollar has gone down.
And I always say this too. I'm like, I don't feel like the price of anything actually went up. I feel like the value of the dollar went down, which is what happened when the Watergate scandal. Who was that? Nixon. When he took the dollar away from the gold standard and said that he wanted to base the value of it on trust. Correct. Which is why the dollar says, "In God we trust." That is when inflation happened. Correct. So, I mean, like, when it comes to Bitcoin, that's why I loved it, and I am an advocate for Bitcoin and all crypto. When I tell people I lost money in crypto, it's because of the exchange, not because the crypto stole money from me or stopped working. The exchange that I had it on went bankrupt. So I still believe in it.
So the white papers, I would suggest everybody who's watching this, who's interested, the first thing you do is you read the Bitcoin white paper. Okay. It's 9 pages. The first 6 pages are the most important. The last 3 gets really complicated. Okay. But if you can understand the first 6 pages, then you would understand that this is not meant for an exchange. It's meant to be peer-to-peer cash without any middleman. So if you're buying and selling on an exchange, you're not using the tool properly. And not saying I don't get it from exchanges, because I do, because it's the easiest way.
But you transfer it to a hard wallet.
I transfer it to a hard wallet, a cold wallet. Yeah.
A cold wallet. Okay. Yeah. What was the name of those twins that
Winklevoss twins?
Yes. Yeah. They had Bitcoin, and I believe the reason how I got a little discouraged from taking it off of the exchange is because they had all of their codes, all of their cryptography codes. I think they bought the crypto and they got the codes in order to access it, just in case they were to die and then somebody needed to find the crypto. And they went to different countries or states or countries and put the codes in different security boxes. When I heard that, I said, that's a bit too much for me. I'm gonna go ahead and keep it on this exchange here and then just let it. Obviously, that was a bad idea. So what would you suggest for people that do want to get into crypto? They don't necessarily know how to have a way to keep the key codes, because they're long key codes and it's like 6 of them, 7 of them. What would you suggest for them to kind of like keep their crypto safe? But also still have access to it if they needed it. So
know yourself first. Okay. That's the biggest one. Recognize who you are, your pros and cons, strengths and weaknesses. Isaiah Jackson came up with a phrase called "no keys, no cheese." Meaning if you don't own the private keys, you don't actually own your keys. Yeah. Because the way the technology works, if somebody owns it, they can move it, regardless if they legally can or can't, they can actually operationally actually move it. So with more freedom comes more responsibility. So if you want the freedom of Bitcoin, then you have to figure out the most responsible way for you to keep it. And so like if the Winklevoss twins are putting things in different countries, like, you know, hey, my life is decentralized also. So I recognize that that's a power move. Somebody can, you know, try to rob me, but they're not going to travel, you know, to different states and countries to try to figure this. I mean, I don't have that much, you know, so if you're trying to do all that, then, you know, that's a whole lot that you're doing for a little bit that I got. Yeah. So, you know, you just got to know yourself. I definitely recommend doing diversifications. Now people who are like just completely irresponsible and they're like, hey, I know I'm gonna lose this. I don't want to lose my money. They do have ETFs out there that you could put your 401ks in. Just recognize that a ETF is just like a gold certificate. Yeah. If you actually wanted to.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Like,
I didn't think about it like that.
You can't wear your gold certificate on your neck. You know, you can't, you know, use it in your technology to conduct, you know, electricity type of metal, but you can get the monetary value from the gold certificate. The Bitcoin ETF or Ethereum ETF is the same way. You can get the monetary value. You just don't have the operational use of it.
Man, you dropping some gems. How did you get the name CJ the Smart Guy? I mean, I can kind of tell, but like, where did it come from? Nip. It came from Nip. Yeah. Shout out to Nipsey Hussle. Rest in peace.
He was like, because I was trying to figure out like a stage name. Okay. Charles Kelly, I didn't realize that name was like actually popular. Like if you go on LinkedIn and you see like a whole bunch of people with that name, you Google it, it's a bunch of people. And one of them was murder in South Carolina.
Oh, Lord, okay. So you don't want to be associated with that?
I don't want to be associated with that. No. At all. So I was like, let me not have that. And, you know, he started talking about how he got his name. And so Nipsey Hussle was a wordsmith. And so like nostalgia takes you back to, you know, Nipsey Hussle. Whenever you say Nipsey Hussle, for a long time, people were like, Nipsey Hussle, like the older generation. But you have that nostalgia. Now you can reach a broader audience. But then you want to make sure that you remix it to make it who you are. I got you. And so he was like, well, I'm not a Russell, I'm a hustler. So he changed Russell to Hustle. And he was like, so, you know, what are you known for? And I was like, everybody just calls me the smart friend, the smart homie. I got people into college. I was a calculus tutor. And so I started thinking, I was like, oh, like smart guy. And I was like, but his name was TJ. Right. And I was like, oh, CJ. I was like, CJ the smart guy. Done. That's
the fact that I'm sitting here with somebody who's had like actual conversations, not just a conversation, but a brotherhood with the Nipsey Hussle. I mean, I'm sitting there reading his book, I think it's Victory Lap. And he was married to the Lauren London. Like, he had so many things going on. The Marathon clothing line. He was the first person I knew that was charging $100 for a CD. However, you told me you got the CD that was $1,000. I didn't even know he had $1,000 CDs. Yeah. Marketing genius. It seems like he was created to kind of push the culture forward. And this guy was pouring into you.
Correct. 100%.
Like, he saw someththink in you that he felt like he needed to, like, you know what I'm saying, bring out, or he knew you were going to be something. How does that make you feel? Like,
well, I think what he did was he created a culture of hard work, and the hard workers gravitated towards it. And so I sought him out. It wasn't like he saw me and was like, hey, come work here. It was more like through the music. It was like hard work, work hard. We don't put our feet up on a desk. Like we work hard. And so through that, I just was grinding. And then when you see opportunities, he created a platform, Vector 90. And that was the platform that said, oh, we're going to bring all the hard workers that I've, you know, manifested through the music. We're going to bring them all here. And so me going there, like, it wasn't just me. It was a lot of us that were just like on it. So we were talking blockchain technology back in 2017 to 2018 on a major scale. Like we had people in there who were building apps and that had full businesses already on the international businesses. I was was a baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just that my profession in accounting, nobody else was in that. You know, we had a lot of engineers. We had some really, really intelligent people. I was one of the, I consider myself on the lower end in terms of like the quality of people that were in there.
And Vector 90, just so people know what we're talking about, I have a little sense of what it is, but is it like a co-working space?
Yeah, it was a co-working space, like an incubator for different businesses.
Okay.
And so we had a lot of different types of businesses that would come in there, from real estate to athletes to performers to, you know, CPA.
Yeah.
I wasn't a CPA at the time I was studying, but it was just a wide variety of people. But we were all hard workers, and we all had a certain culture that Nipsey put into us. And so once you get into that culture, I mean, you just meet so many people.
Yeah.
How does that feel? I feel blessed.
Yeah.
Because the culture was created for specific people like me. It wasn't an individual thing. It was more like, this is the culture, and whoever gravitates towards will. And then I was able to meet so many people that even when he passed away, like, we still talk.
Yeah.
We're still networking. We're still making moves. And then through that, we're able to meet people who were inspired that we didn't even know. And so now, like, even at the actual marathon in Richmond, I seen a guy with an All Money In hat. I just say marathon continues, and instantly we click. We
connected.
It's literally that quick, because it's a certain culture, and all I gotta do is say a couple words, and if they react a certain way, you know, I know if it's real or not.
What? I got a personal question. What price did you get in on Bitcoin?
So I started talking about Bitcoin in 2017.
Okay.
Probably between 10
because it came out in
13,000.
2008.
Yeah, I was not.
You was not invested in Bitcoin when it was $8.
Nah,
Okay.
I wish.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who were.
Okay.
Shout out to the Black Bitcoin billionaires. But
Shout out.
So I got into Bitcoin in college, but I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay.
So all that stuff is gone. So don't think I got that.
You know what? That make me feel a lot better though.
Yeah.
That make me feel a lot better. Okay.
2017 is really my
2017.
journey. So
Okay.
between 10 to 13, and then I wrote it the entire time. When it went all the way down to 4,000 in March 2020, that'd be the lowest point.
Okay.
And I definitely, on my podcast, I was telling people, hey,
get in.
if you have your 401k, because the Dow Jones was at 30, and then it went down to 18 during COVID.
Yeah.
And I told people, hey, take that loss. That's a good for your taxes. And then because of COVID, they got rid of the 10% penalty. I was like, hey, take out your 401k because you don't have a penalty for it.
Yeah.
Put that into Bitcoin, because Bitcoin was around 20 and it gone down to 4,000.
Yeah.
And so there were people who actually listened, and they put a large piece of their 401k, bought a bunch of Bitcoins, and then when it hit 60 later on.
I wish you was my CPA at that time.
Hey.
Because I definitely would have listened.
Hey.
That's crazy. I was telling people to invest in Bitcoin when it was 68,000. That was in 2021, I believe. And somebody, I think they bought a whole one. They were like, bro, this a lot of money for. I'm like, look, just listen to me. Hold on. Because, okay, so these halving events, how do you feel about, because I think the thing with Bitcoin is that, I correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like 21 million
to ever be created.
It's not going to be no more.
Correct.
No more after that.
Correct.
Which is what increases the value, which makes it basically like it can't be inflated because there can't be any more that's made. Explain to us like what these halving events are.
Yeah, for sure. So it's 21 million Bitcoins to ever be created. I don't know the exact number, but we're probably around like 19.7 right now that have been created, something like that. And so just for example purposes, these are not the exact numbers.
Right.
But let's just say that every day there's 1,000 Bitcoins that are created. Every 4 years, they'll get cut in half.
Okay.
So then it'll go down to 500, and then it'll go down to 250, and it'll go to 125, and so on and so forth. And so by the time like 20, I think it's year 2140, that'll be around the last Bitcoin is mined, even though we're already at 1970.
2140.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when you have a limited asset, as more and more people use it, the value goes up. Just like land, you're not going to create more land, so the value of land goes up. In tax world, land is like one of the only things that you can't depreciate because land is so scarce. It's not going to go down in value, so you don't depreciate your land.
Right. Okay. I didn't know that because I don't have any land. I just got residential houses, so that's good for me to know.
You depreciate property.
Yeah, property.
But you don't depreciate land. Because Bitcoin has the same values as that, it's scarce. That's why the value goes up, because more and more people are using it and it's scarce. A lot of these other cryptos, they can create them at their will. Yeah. And they can take it out. It's no difference than how the Federal Reserve does US dollar. But now you're dealing with a company doing it, not a government. I don't know if I trust, all that. So I look to see if it has a max supply. That's one of the first things I do. And then how can they change the code? With Bitcoin, the only way to change the code is 51% of the nodes have to agree to it. So that's not happening anytime soon. Not saying it won't ever happen. Yeah. But that's not happening right now. There's too many people who are actively watching and paying attention. Okay. And so, every 4 years, the supply that's created every day gets shut down. It gets cut in half.
Okay. And when it comes down to someone like me who has lost crypto, who has lost that money to an exchange, I understand that you can deduct up to $3,000 of losses on your taxes every year. How would it be? Am I able to get my money back from taxes that I lost in crypto? Do I just write it off as a loss over a certain amount of years, or? Yeah.
Every situation is different.
Every situation, okay.
Yeah, what I've recommended to people is that their long-term crypto be in an LLC, their short-term crypto be in a separate LLC, and that will allow you to have the flexibility that we need to handle everything.
Wait a minute, I didn't know people putting cryptos in LLCs. I did not know that.
For sure, without a doubt. CJ doesn't own any cryptocurrency.
What? Wait a minute, hot take.
I don't own anything in life. I'm broke. I have nothing. I don't own nothing.
I have nothing. Okay. Okay. So what is the significance of putting it in an LLC? Is it for the tax implications? Like, are you able to write off more if it's in different LLCs, or is it more of a protection type of?
It's protection.
Standpoint? Okay.
But also strategies.
Okay.
So say I punch somebody in the face and they sue me.
Okay.
Well, they're not going to be able to take my personal assets.
Got you.
Because even though they won't be able to move it because they don't have my key, Bitcoin might not be confiscatable, but humans we are. So I don't want to be in jail. And they're like, well, you can't get out until you give the key. I don't know the legal things that they're going to wind up doing for all this stuff. They're working on it, but they haven't figured it all out. So, but you have an LLC. They can only take your personal assets and not your business assets. Okay. So it's a way for protection. But then, we had talked about certain exchanges going down. It's a lot easier to take a Ponzi loss with a business versus doing it on a personal level. Casualty losses since 2017, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, you can't just take a casualty loss unless the president signs off on it. So the rules have changed for that. So a lot of people who were caught up in Ponzi schemes, they were unable to take a casualty loss. But if you're having a business, it's simple. And so there's still ways around it on a personal level, but it's just so much easier with the business.
Okay. And these casualty losses and the other types of losses, I'm assuming that the losses that you can take is bigger than $3,000. Well,
yeah. So like on personal, you have a $3,000 maximum loss that you could take, and then it carries forward. So say if you took $100,000 loss, you can only take $3,000 for that year. You could carry forward the 97. Let's say the next year you made a $98,000 gain. The 98 is going to be separated from that what you carried over the 97, so you don't have a $1,000 gain. So strategies are huge. And so one of the strategies I use in crypto is dollar cost averaging, where you're buying on a daily basis. But also sometimes it's good to sell when it's at a low, just so you could take a loss and then you can rebuy it right back. Because there's no wash rule in crypto.
Oh my gosh. This is a masterclass right here, y'all. Y'all don't know who I know. Y'all never know who coming to the Conversations Unearthed podcast. And just for the people, I just want you to tell me, because this was crazy that you told me this earlier. How did you find the podcast?
Yeah, for sure. So once I knew
my
that,
podcast.
For sure. Once I knew that I was going to Kenya, I was like, okay, I've got to leave something positive for Richmond. Richmond has done me an amazing. I love Richmond.
It's a good place to network.
Network, but the peace out here, like the trees, the clean air, the water, the trails. I run with a group called We Off the Couch. We just go run for miles.
Shout out to We Off the Couch. That's a fire name.
Man.
That's a fire name.
Richmond, even talking to people, I've real conversations. I've had multiple racists come up to me and talk crazy, but they're willing to buy me a drink while they talk crazy. That's foreign to me, because in California, they're just, they're idiots and you just beat them up and, they're punks. Okay. But then in Texas, you just walk the other way because they're still angry that you're not a slave anymore. Like, we go to Prairie View, which is built on a former plantation, rest in peace of Sandra Bland. But that's because they're still angry. They're still angry in Texas. Virginia, I feel like because they fought the war here, they don't actually want war. They just feel how they feel. Yeah. And they just want to express it. And so for me, I'm like, man, I love this place because I can talk to people from different backgrounds. I can disagree completely, but I can hear your point of view. So Richmond has done me great, like by none. And so I was like, let me leave something for Richmond. And so I went on ChatGPT and I said, what are the top finance podcasts in Richmond? And yours popped up.
That's crazy. We gotta clip that up. That's crazy.
And I went on Instagram and I saw them and I was like, okay, this is a good one. It's good personality. And so I just, said the things I say to, whatever they were talking about. Yeah. And you were the first one that was like, hey, come on board. I was like, okay, bet. This is how we gonna do it.
Which is crazy, y'all, because we met yesterday. Like, literally, we met yesterday on Instagram. And I looked at your page as well, because it's a lot of people who hit me up and just want to argue about something I said or something somebody else said. But you came at me in a way that it was like educational. And I'm like, wait a minute. Let me see what this dude's talking about. And then I saw that you had your own podcast, what is the name of your podcast?
Smart Guy Podcast.
Smart Guy Podcast. Yeah. I saw a few clips of that. You have a co-host?
No. So Dr. Jamar, big shouts to Dr. Jamar Montgomery.
Shout out.
That man is a genius. He's absolutely brilliant. I think he got his PhD at 19. He speaks at the World Economic Forums overseas. Dude is beyond reason intelligent. And so it was great to have conversations with him. So we did like a mini podcast where we knew it was only going to be a limited amount of episodes. And so I flew out to Seattle where his studio's at. And so we just did a whole bunch of them in a weekend and knocked them all out. We touched on a lot of subjects. There's still more episodes coming out. But yeah, Dr. Jamar Montgomery he's brilliant.
I'm gonna have to check out the pod. I saw a lot of the clips, and like I was telling you before we started talking, I was trying to figure out what to talk about with you, or at least try to sound educated when I'm talking to you. So I was trying to listen to a few different crypto podcasts. Yeah. Them Jones was so boring, like snooze fest. And a lot of them were people who were creating coins, so they were like kind of advertising them, correct, or like telling you how to buy their coin and how the decentralization worked for them. And I'm like, I just kind of want to know what's going on with crypto and the election, for one. Yeah. And when I was super into it, I lost my money. So I hadn't even been thinking about it. So I just really wanted to know what like the updated topics and things was like that. This shirt you got on, okay. Yes. Nodes, roads. Yes. What is that?
So no nodes, no roads.
No nodes, no roads. Okay.
Meaning if you don't have nodes to secure the blockchain, then you don't have actual roads to be able to do transactions.
Ooh, okay.
So having a node on the Bitcoin blockchain is very important to the security of the blockchain, because remember, if 51% of people vote for something, it becomes official. So if you're not actively participating and the enemies are participating, then you're just giving them a one up to be able to hack the system, which I don't believe that it'll be a permanent system. I don't think that Bitcoin is going to be around for 1,000 years. I do believe that quantum computing is going to be able to crack some of that if it hasn't already cracked some of it now. But I think that the opportunity is so drastic and so big for our community that we need to be educated on it. And so when we talk about the election, there's a lot of us that have been doing education. We're talking Black people. Naja Roberts in LA, she owns her own Bitcoin exchange.
Wow.
Lamar Wilson, he created the very first app in the App Store, like the first wallet, Bitcoin wallet in the App Store, the first one.
Oh, wow.
Black guy. We had Reggie Middleton, who created the technology for decentralized finance. So you have a Black man who created a system that could get rid of the banks that were oppressing us. He has the patent. So when you talk about Ethereum, Solana, he owns the technology.
Wow.
Now, they haven't been paying him for it. So he deserves, like when you look at these rich people in crypto, he should be up there in the billions. Now, he may not be the top billionaire.
Yeah.
But he should be around, my calculation should be around 5 billion.
So he's like a whale in the States.
Should be.
He should be. Okay.
But they haven't been paying him what he's owed.
Who is they?
The people who are using his technology, the ones who are using his patent without paying him.
Oh, okay.
He has the patent, he owns the patent, and they're not paying him. So there's lots of lawsuits going on behind the scenes.
I'm about to say, is he suing? He better be suing for that. Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure. But you're dealing with the people who have billions and billions of dollars, who have connections in politics versus the Black guy who just created it.
Yeah.
And maybe $1 million. I don't know how much he's worth, but he's not worth, billions of dollars like Coinbase.
Yeah.
So so we bring back to the election, right?
Yeah.
I've personally been talking about Bitcoin since 2017, but I don't feel like I was an official expert until like the late 2020, 21.
Okay.
That was after I got my license already. I started working with the Black Bitcoin billionaires.
Okay.
That's Lamar Wilson, Isaiah Jackson. And they were talking about politics.
Okay.
Because that was when Trump got out of office and now Biden was coming into it. And there are certain regulations that are good for industries and there are certain regulations that are bad for industries. And so, Trump originally wasn't pro Bitcoin. He was saying that's a scam. Even though he used it in the Mueller report in the 2017. Let's not forget that. So he's saying that it's bad, but meanwhile, he's used it.
Yeah.
And it's in the Mueller report. He was doing dealings with Russia with Bitcoin, but I don't think he was using it as a way to create value. I think he was using it as a way to not be attached to a bank.
Yeah.
Privacy.
Move money under the radar.
Correct.
Yeah.
So he's very familiar with it. And so the first thing that really happened in America was when Russia attacked Ukraine.
Yeah.
Biden put sanctions on Russia and said, you can't use the US dollar anymore. And Russia was like, okay, we'll use Bitcoin. Big deal. And so they evaded the sanctions by just using Bitcoin. And so if you look at the value of their dollar, the ruble, I think it's called, it crashed down for like a week and then went right back up. And it was just like, what'd they do? They just bought Bitcoin and they are using Bitcoin. They know what they're doing. Like you can't sanction a country. And so then they got upset and they were like, okay, if this is how you're going to do us, you're going to sanction us from using the world currency, then we're going to create an alternative currency. So Russia teamed up with Brazil, India, China, South Africa, created something called BRICS, and they've been expanding ever since. So America pissed off Russia by sanctioning them because they decided to invade Ukraine. Ukraine is not a part of NATO. There was no legal reason for us to back Ukraine.
Yeah.
So this is I'm talking the politics. Bitcoin has nothing to do with politics. I mean, it does, but it doesn't.
Well, yeah.
But this is
they
this
go
is
into
leading
each
up to
other's
it.
lane.
So after that whole ordeal with Ukraine, and BRICS is united. Wait.
No, you keep going.
Okay. You had politicians on both sides, Republicans and Democrats, that were saying, hey, we need to get this crypto legislation down. We need to create something because there's so much confusion. Let's say for the IRS, the confusion is, like we had talked about the spending events. It's not feasible to be able to buy something from Starbucks and get taxed, a gain or loss on Starbucks. It doesn't make sense. And so we've been trying to talk to politicians about actually making the rules make sense. Mm-hmm. But in the SEC, you have someone called Gary Gensler, who has been anti-crypto this entire time. You also have in the Senate, you have Elizabeth Warren, who's been a completely anti-crypto. And Joe Biden took closer to her stance because you had legislation that was created by both Democrats and Republicans. Like they came together, came up with some laws and said, hey, this is what we believe is to be right. And Biden vetoed it. And when he vetoed it, the entire crypto industry was upset. The entire industry. Now, I have my own personal reservations about Joe Biden as a human. I don't like the man. I was always a no Biden person at all. I voted for Kanye the last time because that's what I voted for.
You voted for Kanye West?
Yep, and I have a whole podcast about it. I broke it down because I was just like, I refuse to vote for either one of these people. Okay. Because I feel as though Biden's more racist, but that's an opinion.
Well, okay. So are you more of an independent conservative?
I'm an accountant. Accountants by nature are conservative. Okay. But socially, I love everybody.
Right.
Like, I'm not that political. I'm just like Bitcoin. I understand what freedom is.
So you didn't want Trump or Biden?
No. So I voted for Kanye.
So you just voted for... So what, you wrote his name in there?
Mm-hmm. In Texas. And I did it when I was wearing a Bitcoin and Black America hoodie. So I was like, look, this is what I'm doing.
You got your stance.
That's my stance. Yeah. I made a podcast episode. It's called Why I Voted for Kanye. Correct.
I need to know what was going what was going through your mind, because he was facing a lot of controversy at this time for this bipolar moment he was having. So what made you want to go for Kanye? You literally wrote him in. So this was, you were adamant about him getting in there.
Stamp, sign, seal.
Hey, you was on top of it. Yeah. Tell me how you came to this point to get him in there, because you're a smart guy. So I definitely appreciate your input. I need to know how this came about.
I mean, the concept was really simple for me. I looked at, because Trump, if you look at his downline, like it's, from pimp to KKK, like downline.
wait.
His grandpa was a pimp.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. They made money off of real estate, but they had brothels in the real estate business.
Oh.
And then his dad was, I'm not gonna say he was a frontline. I don't know all that. But,
right.
But if you look at it, like his dad was part of the KKK.
Okay.
So like that's his background. So if he ever has like personality things that might resemble that, that's what it is. But I don't think he's nearly as bad as a Joe Biden, who actually writes bills to lock people up at higher rates, and not just one or two. He's written at least 3 or 4 of these bills, and he's been very proud of them. And I think that over time, he's just gotten so good at being a politician that it was like, I think he was Obama's underseer, where it was like, hey, if the racists want to get Obama elected, then you have to have somebody racist in the cabinet, and he's going to be the underseer. And just to give
the racists wanted to get Obama elected.
If Joe Biden is there, it's not as bad. So for instance, let's look at Kamala, how she just ran, right?
Yeah.
Why would he ever put on a Trump 2024 hat?
I was thinking because he had dementia and somebody put it on him, but
okay, which is a reasonable possibility. Then the next question is, Joe Manchin. A lot of people were mad at Joe Manchin because he held up the Build Back Better. Build Back Better was the plan that all the black people were like, yes, this is what we're going to get. We're going to do all these things. We're going to get student loans cut. We're going to get all this money sent to HBCUs. That was the reason why a lot of black people they wanted Joe Biden in the first place, was because he ran on all these promises. Joe Manchin, who's a Democrat, West Virginia, blocked a lot of this stuff.
Okay.
Well, the second he blocked it, Joe Biden appointed his wife to a higher position in the cabinet. And I'm like, if somebody was blocking all my bills, I wouldn't appoint his wife to a higher position. So it seems like, it just feels like, from my paying attention to the moves, not the energy that he talks about, even though to say that if you don't vote for him, you're not black. Like you get what I'm saying? Like, there's so many things out there. I can't
argue with that one.
You create bills to lock people up.
Yeah.
You call us predators. You don't have the empathy for us. And if you go back to, when he was saying these things on the Senate floor, Bernie Sanders was backing us. Mm-hmm. Bernie Sanders had it right. Bernie Sanders is a great guy. Like, if you ask me, I'm not going to say he's a great politician with his bills that he passes, but I was going to vote for Bernie.
Yeah, I was going to vote for Bernie.
I was a Bernie guy.
Yeah.
When Hillary rigged the election, the DNC did it. Deborah Wasserman Schultz in particular, she got fired for rigging it. And then the second she got fired, Hillary hired her. So when Trump was saying that she was crooked, he was 100% correct. She was completely crooked. And so it was like, well, in that election, Trump versus Hillary, I didn't vote. And then when it was Trump versus Biden, I was like, I need to start voting. I need to put this down. I need them to see that I'm still voting, for a third party. So it might not win it, but I'm going to vote for another black man. So it was like, I'm going to vote for a black man that, even though they don't think he's going to win, he's cool, which is crazy because Dr. Jamar Montgomery voted for him also. And that's how we got to know each other on Twitter, because we both were talking about voting for Kanye. And it was like, oh, there's somebody else who thinks like me. He's in crypto. And then Dr. Jamar Montgomery, actually worked with Kanye. Mm. And so when we talk about Trump meeting with the white supremacists, Kanye brought two white supremacists to that meeting. He was really meeting with Kanye. Mm. He brought Nick Fuentes, and I can't pronounce his name, but Antalopico or something. Mm-hmm. And the white supremacists, they didn't get along. Mm-hmm. So they had to drop one. So they only brought Nick Fuentes. But the meeting was with Trump, Kanye, Dr. Jamar Montgomery, and Kanye. So it was four of them. It's two black men, two white men. Mm-hmm. So when the media says Trump met with a white supremacist, one, he didn't order the meeting with him. He ordered a meeting with Kanye. Kanye brought him. And then second, it was two white men, two black men. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Jamar Montgomery talked to Trump about NFTs, crypto, Bitcoin. And that was around the time when he started to take the champion stance in crypto, Bitcoin, and blockchain. And so if we take it back to the election stuff, as we are, 2020 through 2024, Naja Roberts is trying to reach out to Democrats. Maxine Waters is in her own district. As a black woman, you would expect for her to meet another black woman on crypto. Doesn't do it. Mm. And then you start to follow the money, because I'm like, why wouldn't you do that? Oh, you're involved with FTX. You're involved with SBF. So
Maxine Waters is.
Correct, because she was the head of the finance committee. So if you follow the money, you start to realize that SBF paid almost all these politicians money to be able to not get in trouble. And he paid a lot of money to a lot of politicians. And so they were just looking at it like, oh, well, I'm going to take this money, I'm going to do right by you, not realizing he's one of the most biggest crooks out there. Mm. And so when you talk about the controversy with Kanye, when he was talking about a certain religious group, well, we have a guy named Isaiah Jackson that's in the crypto space, and he pointed this out. All he said was Kanye was right. But if you look at SBF, you look at Gary Gensler, you look at his girlfriend, and you look at the one who put the money up for it, they were all the same religious organization. Now, you don't have to always just say it was the religious organization that did it. You can easily say, well, they all went to MIT. So think about that movie 21, when they were gambling and going up to Vegas and making all the money. Think of that, except for a cryptocurrency exchange that was somehow able to change the Miami Heat arena to FTX arena, get FTX on all the different umpire jerseys, and make millions and billions of dollars without a proper audit, without a proper anything. So,
oh Lord.
So there had to be regulation.
Yeah.
But the regulation needed to be done correctly. And the main thing that we saw from Biden, not only did he veto that, but he came out with a stance. It was January 27th. It was the same day that the video, rest in peace, that Tyree Nichols got killed by the black officers in Memphis. So most of the black community was focused on that. And I saw the statement that came directly from the White House. And, you know, not quoted, but basically what it said was cryptocurrency had negatively affected young people and people of color, but gratefully it hadn't affected the greater financial institutions.
Yeah.
And when I read that, I was like, why are you singling out young people? And why are you singling out people of color? What's the real basis behind this? And so a lot of the experts, we came together and we're like, this sounds like an accredited investor rule, where they're saying, you know, for stocks, I'm sure you understand, where the first round of investors, unless you make at least $250,000 or you own at least $2 million, not including your first home, then you can't get in on the first round. And you probably can't get on the second round or the third round. You can't get in until it goes live, and then everybody else can get in. So the original investors make all the money. So, you know, these basketball players, they can get in. Yeah. The Mark Cubans, they can get in. But the average person, I don't know what you're worth, but more than likely we can't get in a lot of these investments because we don't qualify for a accredited investor.
Yeah.
Well, what makes Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as a whole so great is because there is no regulation saying that we can't get in. So a lot of people, young, black, it doesn't matter, worldwide, have been able to go from nothing to extreme wealth. You know, some people lose, some people win, but why are you pointing us out in crypto, but you're not pointing out the casinos?
Yeah.
Because the odds that you lose, but yet you're making money off of that. Why are you trying to, quote unquote, protect us from crypto? And so,
because they can't control it.
Correct.
Essential. I mean, so I'm wondering too, just to play devil's advocate, is this like a black thing that they're trying to oppress black people from it? Or is it more of a money thing?
So you can go to a January 27th. It said it had negatively affected young people and people of color.
Okay.
So I can't say it's a direct attack on black people.
Okay.
But as a young person and a person of color, it felt like you were trying to tell me that I was negatively affected, when in reality, Bitcoin has done nothing besides greatness for my life.
Yeah.
So I disagreed with the statement.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, what is the meaning behind it? Why would you single us out? Because you could have easily have said many investors have suffered losses.
Yeah.
And just had a blanket statement. They decided to single out young people and people of color.
Well, I always say when the government started taking money for endorsements and money just from different places and people, that's when it became more of a marketing ploy to kind of push ahead whoever was giving them the most money.
Correct.
Honestly, because if you think about it, these are the same people who said go to school, get a job, go to college, and work for 40 years and then get a pension. You know what I mean? So like nothing that they say, I have to take it with a grain of salt. But I do understand what you're saying because they do control the policies. So and with that being said, they could control the market and the market value of things. What was I about to say? When it comes down to president, because these are big names in the world, presidents, things like that, things that people that are pretty much untouchable. when it comes down to the local level, because for me, I feel like the president is, I always say this, I feel like it's two feathers of the same bird, whether it's Democratic or Republican, they going in the same direction to me. Is there anybody at the local level that you are supporting or you feel like is supporting your initiative?
In Richmond?
And are you voting at the local level?
In Richmond, not yet.
In Richmond, not yet. Okay.
I have talked to multiple, like the mayor candidates. Some of them are familiar with it, but most of them were saying wait till after the elections, which
is a cop out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct for politicians. And so
I agree. Yeah.
I didn't participate in the local Richmond choice because none of them like actually followed up with me.
I got you.
They all gave me they all had different responses to it, but nobody just embraced it. And considering that I know who I am, and I know like what I bring, it's wild to me. Now I will say that Saddam Hussein, I might be butchering his name. He's a state senator.
Okay.
He's pro Bitcoin. I'll probably be working with him a lot.
Nice. Wait a minute, you working with the senators too?
State senator.
State senator.
Yeah, not U.S. senator.
Is this through the Urban League or something completely different?
So the Urban League, I met them in 2017 because I was in Richmond for 6 months in 2017.
Okay.
That was right before I went to California.
Got you.
And the Urban League at that moment was fantastic. Shout out to Jermichael McCoy.
Shout out.
He was handling business. And so I got really good with the Urban League. I paid attention in Houston, came back here in 2022, and that was one of the first organizations I started linking up with. I asked a guy named Victor Rogers, who used to be the president of the Urban League Richmond YP, and he was like, hey, talk to the Virginia Blockchain Council. And so I was like, okay, I never heard of them, but I was familiar with the Texas Blockchain Council, and they are probably the leader in the crypto space by far. With Lee Bratcher.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, then let me, see what the Virginia Blockchain Council is about. And so I met with them, and then I started to see, there were bills that were created here in Richmond. They just got their first, it's a small dollar amount. I think it was like the first $50,000 for research. And I was like, but hey, it's off zero. Texas has millions.
I feel like I know what you're talking about. I feel like I met one of your guys that's working with that blockchain council. Well, you said it's in Texas, but it's one here.
Virginia Blockchain Council, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I met him at when Delegate Congresswoman McClellan was speaking. It was
Possibly.
A chamber RVA event.
Possible.
And they actually, like when he started to speak, because they were talking about, no, I'm sorry, it was a Republican one, not the McClellan one. Anyways, whenever he started speaking about Bitcoin, the Republicans, I think it was Rock Whitman, and they got super excited. Yeah. And actually like exchanged information with him. And I wanted to get his information, but everybody was trying to talk to him afterwards. But I mean, it seemed like they already started making some moves. Well, y'all were about to start making some moves in that department.
Yeah, well, we're definitely expanding right now.
Yeah.
I've been working with the Virginia Blockchain Council, so I learned about them through Urban League.
Okay.
But I had already spoken with the Texas Blockchain Council in Houston, so they're very familiar with me out there in the Houston chapter. And so like now, like I've got this Virginia, Texas connection with the blockchain councils, and I've now gone to DC for some of their blockchain councils as well. So this is a countrywide thing. The technology is here. And so I'm gonna keep tying it back to the elections. That's the reason why when Joe Biden came out with negative stances and he did these vetoes, the entire crypto like industry groaned and was like, ugh. Because then that means that we knew that the only option was Trump. And so it was like
the convicted felon.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to understand there's two demographics in the crypto world. You have a lot of Black Americans, not just Black Americans, but Black people around the world, people of color around the world who are looking at Bitcoin as freedom money to be able to get out of the oppression whether you're in Africa and being oppressed by France, whether you're in America being oppressed by the U.S. government, we're looking at this as freedom money because you don't have a middleman. A lot of these white people are looking at it as, oh, this is a chance to get rich because it's a brand new industry. It's the gold rush, like the 1940s. This is a great time to get rich.
Yeah.
And so you really honestly have a lot of racist white people, and you have a lot of freedom seeking black people who are united in this.
Oh.
Like completely united. If you go on Twitter, you will see some of the most outrageous, crazy racists saying crazy things, and black people are going to be like, well, yeah, because we're connected on this one issue. Yeah. And if we have freedom money, and we're not being oppressed, then we can do what we want to do, and it takes away a lot of the animosity out of things. And so like you even have like a lot of racist meme coins that come out, the pay coin and all these things. But you get black people who are buying it because they're making money from it. It's like, hey, racism doesn't hit as hard when you're being paid and you're not being beaten. Yeah. Like if somebody's not beating you and they're paying you and they say something that's racist, it doesn't hit as hard as you're not paying me and you're beating me and you're forcing me to work for free. Yeah. So we're talking different levels of racism.
Have you seen the movie Rob Peace?
I've not.
On Netflix? Oh man, it's so good, but it's kind of I watched it today, but it's putting me in the same mindset of what you're saying today. It was a black guy I think he was from New York or Jersey or something like that, but he ended up going to Yale. His dad was in prison, so he spent a lot of his time trying to get his dad out of prison, which meant that he was taking time away from his studies to go see his dad in jail, and his dad was kind of like making him feel bad for not getting a lawyer for him, so now he's selling weed on campus and like it got to the point where it ended up that he died. But in this, he was a brilliant guy. But when they were at Yale, it was like, you know, obviously it's the rich white kids, and then it's the people who they're on scholarship, you know, black and brown, and he kind of brought everybody together through this mutual connection of marijuana, because he had the best marijuana on campus. And the people who the black and brown people were saying like, man, like why you hang out with them crackers? And the, you know, the white people, you know, that he was on the swim team with, they weren't really worried about the other people on campus as far as black and brown. They were kind of oblivious to them. It was kind of like, oh, just another person. But basically what Rob Peace was saying was like, look, I mean, we can get money together. Like we all here for the same purpose. And he was like, y'all black and brown, my people over here, I understand why you feel oppressed. I get it. But these people not worried about y'all. Like it's like, what am I gonna fight somebody who not hitting me? At this point. And that's kind of how I feel about with this partnership you talking about now with Twitter and things. Because if we can make money, I'm saying I'm good. Yeah,
and you're not physically hurting me.
And you're not physically hurting me. Yeah.
It
and I'm bringing it back to my community.
Correct.
Yeah.
Spook that sat by the door.
Yeah.
So you said something about marijuana, right? Yeah. Think about that. That is a decentralized asset because it grows anywhere.
Wow.
Bitcoin is decentralized. Decentralized assets allow us to not have to be so centralized in one area. And when you have that, you create somewhat freedom. Yeah. And the people who don't like freedom, they then try to centralize it and create obstacles. And so an accredited investor rule would be an obstacle to freedom money, but it would not be an obstacle for the rich people to still get it. So we looked at that as a direct attack on us.
I got you.
So a lot of
I understand.
The entire industry moved away from Biden to Trump. It was very obvious. The black women did not like it, but they were like, well, I can't get mad at you because of whatever. Like they see it. However, that 100 days where he dropped out, all of a sudden Kamala started running. Yeah. The dynamics switched immediately. And it was wild.
You got me thinking.
It was wild. The dynamic switched so quick.
Right.
That, I mean, it switched in seconds.
Now the people who weren't on his side is now on her side.
Oh my God. The black women, they united so quick.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, We got our own, and it didn't even click in my head yet, all the stuff that was going on. All I knew was that I've got to bring this information to black people.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned the Urban League.
Yeah.
So the Bitcoin conference was in July 2024.
I heard there's not a lot of black people at that conference.
No.
The Bitcoin conference.
No, most of the time it's the crypto crypto bros are like the white people who are trying to get rich.
Got you.
They're not looking at it as freedom. If they are saying freedom, it's a different freedom than how it hits different than what we're talking about. And I'm cool with a lot of them.
Right.
But they're the ones who normally go to the conferences. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't go. Black Bitcoin Billionaires, we've gone for years. Atlanta Blockchain Council's gone.
Okay.
So it's a great event to go to. However, this year I didn't go to the Bitcoin conference because I went to the Urban League conference.
I heard you didn't go.
Correct.
I heard you didn't go. It was big news that you were not there.
Correct.